Hello and welcome to Spirit Sherpa, the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. I'm Joshua Radewan, your co-host, here with always with spiritual coach and shaman extraordinaire, Kelle Sparta. Kelle, episode lined up today because we are doing a Q&A for one of our listeners, Gina G. And we love our listeners, and I love being on the other side of trying to play Stump the Shaman. So I have yet to do it in this, in four and a half, almost 5 years of working with Kelle, but maybe Gina's got what it takes.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. So, yeah. So before we forget, and before we get into that, just a reminder, please like, subscribe, and share to this podcast because that helps us to get the word out. And we want more people to be more educated and more empowered in the world. And so please help us help the world by doing that. Thank you. And thank you for listening. And if you've got questions, so this is a whole Q&A episode from one person. If you have questions that you wish you could sit down and talk to me about, send them in and I will sit and answer them for you on air. Okay? So that's a great way to do it if you feel like you're not ready to step into working with me, or if you feel like you don't have the cash to do it or whatever. Just send in the question on the podcast and we're happy to answer it. All right. With that, let's get on to the question.
Kelle loves this too. I've worked with Kelle for so long. She loves going off the cuff. She loves being in that channel and bringing people the information they need to help them along their journey. So that being said, the first question is around cords or energy scans on children. Is this something that there is, what are the ethics around this? And also, what is it we can do in regards to this?
Yeah. So when you're dealing with a child, and I mean a underage child, not an adult child, okay? So when you are still responsible for that person's well-being, then you have the right to do the energy work and things like that on them. And if you want an energy review done or things like that, that can be done. But if somebody's going to do an energy review on a child, the child needs to know that's happening because we actually enter their energy field to do that. And that's really disorienting if you have somebody who's energetically aware. And even if you don't, it's really disorienting for them to have somebody else in their energy field unbidden. So they really absolutely should know that that's happening and they should be present at the time that the review is being done. And so there are things that we can do that don't require us entering their field. Like we can look at whether or not there's an entity on them or, whether their aura is impacted in some way or whatever. We can look at timelines. We can look at Akashic records and things like that without impacting the child themselves. But for something like an energy review, going into their energy field is necessary. And quite frankly, an energy review isn't really going to be useful for any person who is less than, say, 14 years old, maybe 13, right? Somewhere around there, because they're not actively doing work on themselves before that age usually, right? They're just trying to figure out how to operate in the world still. So, and energy reviews are about evolution, right? They're about personal evolution. So there's that. And then in terms of cording, so we are naturally, okay, let me take this back. So everybody will say that, oh, you've got energy cords running between you. Well, that's only true if you're not an empath. Okay? Empaths don't cord, we merge. And so your child won't have any cords except from people who are not empaths. And the cord will be weird looking on their side if they're an empath. Because when it hits the empath's energy field, they merge with the cord. So it's corded on one side and not on the other, right? So that's its own challenge in that regard. But empaths tend to merge energies together. And this is why you can monitor your child when you're not in the room with them. You know what there's a problem, you just sense it, right? And that's because your energy is merged with theirs. And so this is for anybody who's an empath. If you're not an empath, then you will be courting. And that's the act of sending a cord, an energy cord between you and the other person. And that usually comes through on your third chakra. That's usually where the courting happens. Not always, but usually. And yes, you're going to be naturally courted to your child. Oh, or you'll be naturally merged with your child, depending upon whether you're an empath or not. Okay. And that's appropriate. That's, we're connected to everyone who we're in relationship in one way or another. Right. So, to decord from your child would be to cut them off literally from you. And that would feel very abandoning to them. And it would be very unnatural. And unless they were leaving your energy, your space entirely, that cord is going to reestablish itself. Right. So there's no point in worrying about it. It's natural. That's what it's supposed to be. Now, in terms of doing energy work on children, you can do work in your family line. So like Kathy talks about family constellation work, and there's an entire episode on family constellation work. And that is a way to clear your family line from you forward. Okay, I want to be really clear. We're not healing our ancestors. Not your job to heal your ancestors. I'm going to say this as many times as freaking possible. Okay, not your job to heal your ancestors. But you can clear the family line from you going forward, which helps clear the line for your children, right? So that's doable. And you can clear family curses, which is something that is doable for helping your child as well. In terms of doing work on them specifically, you can do healing work. If you're learning Reiki or something like that, that's absolutely reasonable as long as they're game for it, right? They are still sovereign beings. They are just under your protection, right? So you want to balance permission with protection, because you want them to grow up to be sovereign beings and not to be dependent beings, right? So, that's the work in this regard. So I think that answered the question and then some. So
Absolutely. And I actually missed a question up here on the top.
No, okay.
So this one is related to warding. She says she's hearing a squeaking and popping energy during warding only on one end of the house, and was previously thwarted from warding at all for several weeks.
Okay, you went in and out because you kept leaning away from your mic. Can you read that again?
Absolutely. So she's hearing a squeaking and popping energy during the warding process, but only on one end of the house. And previously, she's been thwarted from warding at all for several weeks. So, what is your take on that?
Yeah, that could be a variety of things. I'm gonna actually ask you what you would say this is. He's like, oh shit, we didn't talk about this.
I do not like what's happening right now. So let me.
Well, I'm gonna ask you anyway because it's good practice for you.
Let me feel into that squeaking, popping energy on one end of the house. So the first thing that comes through is that there was, like the first few weeks, she was working through the sense that this is real, right? Like, like when we're warding anything, we really have to be in our power with it, right? So that squeaking and popping to me is symbolic of something that was making her question her own abilities and whether she was the biggest bad in that room. So sometimes, like when we're pushing things out, they will say, I don't want to go. And if you're not solid in your sense of self, you will question whether the validity of your ward. So the fact that she was going through this through multiple weeks would, tell me that maybe there was some internal dialogue that was thwarting, the process of being able to fully set this ward. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. I agree with that. And I'm going to add another layer to it. So
please do.
The 3 weeks of not being able to set it is very much about a battle with whatever was in the house and didn't want to go. That absolutely is the case. The squeaking and the popping in one part of the house, that to me says that there's a portal in that part of the house. and that the way that the warding was being done was impacting the portal, and that was what was causing the squeaking and popping. And it is entirely possible that my sense is that the ward went right through the middle of the portal, and that was what was causing the squeaking and popping. And so I would highly recommend looking at whether or not that portal actually closed or whether it's still half open inside the house, right? Because that could be problematic. So, and how do we close a portal?
Intention.
Yes. How do you do anything in magic? You intend to do it, and you know that it's
Kelly,
right.
or you call Kelly.
Yeah, or you call me. Yeah, well, I don't do the house clearing stuff. You call Karen Baskin for that. She's at Ghosts Be Gone, ghostsb-gone.com, ghostbegone.com.
Doing a little bit more of that, and it's funny because it kind of tied into your chords. I recently did a clearing last week because you taught me how to cross things over, and since then I've had more of those spirits reached out to me through people. But it was interesting because you were talking about the chords and the energy of children, and I was a little not nervous because like you've taught me a lot about the architecture and how to do things safely. There was an autistic child in the house that was really kind of getting the brunt of some of that. So it was interesting because I did I make sure everybody in the house is safe before I go in and start clearing things. And but yeah, there was a portal in that house in the closet as well. So
yeah.
And everybody, but it's one of those times. A lot of these spirits are showing up more. I don't know. I have a personal question here. You've been around this work a long time. Do you feel like there is an uptick in the amount of spiritual activity the last few years, or is it just more so in my awareness because of where I'm at in my journey now?
So there is an uptick in awakenings, and therefore I think people are more aware of the activity that's happening. I don't think it's that the activity itself is different. If the activity itself feels like it's pretty consistent, but I think that the awareness of it is arising more, and therefore it feels like there are more instances of it.
Right. You've been around this work for many years. I've been around this work for
so many.
7.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all an uptick.
Like, oh shit! What the fuck? Yeah. It's just.
Okay, so the next thing she had mentioned here is personal symbology. Not really a question attached to it, but personal symbology. So I'll let you feel into that a little bit and see what comes through.
So you can use symbols for your own personal purpose. You can create your own symbols, right? Things that are meaningful to you. And they can either be symbols that already exist in the culture, like a spiral or a cross or, whatever, right? Or they can be something of your own making. I do suggest that you keep it super simple if you're going to make it yourself. But if you do keep it super simple, it probably is something else too, right? So the key with using a personal symbol is that you have to understand that you're going to be layering whatever your personal belief structure is on top of whatever the existing symbol means. So make sure whatever you choose has a symbol that has a meaning that you want to associate with on it. So there's that. And then you can create your own symbols to mean different things, right? So, to have different things mean different things for you specifically. And so, that can be done. And I've seen that done on multiple occasions. Okay, next question.
So the next question from Gina G is animal communication. What happens when this is done without intention? Or it's just without intention in parentheses. So,
So we did an entire episode on animal communication in the Spirit Guides podcast. And so I'm going to reference going back to that and finding that because that'll talk about it in depth. I don't want to do a whole nother episode here, but unintentional animal communication, I don't know. I mean, We don't really have a context for the question, right? She just said animal communication unintentional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without intention in
Without
parentheses.
intention. Okay. So, can it happen? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, people who aren't even aware that they're animal communicators often will know how their pets are feeling and what they're saying and things like that. Uh, the animals out in the wild, which it feels like this question is about a wild animal thing. Um, uh, Animals in the wild. What you have to keep in mind is that sometimes an animal in the wild shows up because the spirit animal is showing up, right? And so the unintentional, the without intention communication there is likely more with the spirit animal than it is with the animal itself. Um, so that may relate to the question. Again, I don't have a lot of context for the question. So if you guys are going to send in questions, please send in full questions. Gina didn't realize she was sending in questions for the podcast. She just said, "Oh, well, these are the sorts of things I'm interested in," and I took it as a, "Hey, let's use these for the podcast." So that's not on her. But
Absolutely.
the when we're talking about animal communication, most animals don't. Well, I should say, let me clarify. Most, no, that's not true either.
Okay.
What is it? I'm like, no, I can't say that because it's not true. But the the smaller the brain of the animal, the less likely they're going to have a complex conversation with you. Um, Now, the exception to that rule is cats. Cats have smaller brains than dogs, but they have much more complicated interactions. I'm fully of the opinion that cats are not of this planet. They are aliens and they have a different experience. But um, they are, and I don't know, maybe it's because they're connected into their higher selves and therefore have more access to that or whatever. I'm not sure what the deal is with cats, but they have full on conversations, right? Whereas dogs generally tend to be, I'm happy, I'm hungry, I need to go out, I love you, right? They're much more simple in their communications, and horses are their own thing. They don't have as much full conversation as they have. It's like they talk on not a verbal level, right? So they will talk on a verbal level, but most of what they're saying is nonverbal. It's not, and not even mentally verbal. You know what I'm saying? It's they're conveying and they're doing downloads, right? So they're like conveying a psychic message that is not in words, right? So that's generally what I find with horses. And then, you've got a whole bunch of other types of animals out there, but um yeah, if you're getting full on sentences from a wild animal, you're likely talking to the spirit animal, not the wild animal. So there's that. Okay.
That was great. I love it when you said that's not true because it's so hard because it's true in certain contexts, but it's so layered, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like, this and that. And I'm like, nope, that's not true. Nope, that's not.
Yeah. Just gotta check it.
Start to
Like,
say things and I'm like, nope, that's not right. You can tell I'm
looking
an
through the
external processor.
roll. I could see it in your eyes when you're like, nope, nope, next screen. It's like,
Yeah. I don't pre-prepare these answers now, right?
yeah, it's like psychic Tinder.
Yes. Not funny. Gender. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not getting on there for the
Mm.
record. If that does become a thing, I want royalties. Anyway, you folks. So um I guess the last one here is kind of vague as well. It's about channeled writing and downloads. And once again, I think we have a lot. You have automatic writing episodes about this. It's hard to. I'll let you feel into that one though. It's just channel writing with the and downloads.
Yeah, so channeled writing can take a variety of different forms. We did talk about automatic writing, which
Mhm.
is, specifically just hearing what you're hearing and writing it down, right? And sometimes it's an it's a conscious channel, and sometimes it's an unconscious channel. Sometimes the conscious channel would be you hear it, you write it down. And the unconscious channel would be you grab your pen, you put it on the paper, you start writing random things, and you wake up, half an hour later, and you've got all this stuff on the page, and you don't remember writing it, right? Or there's a semi-conscious channel, which is you start writing, and then you feel yourself sort of shoved out, and something else comes in, and you watch yourself writing it, but you don't know what it's going to say before it comes out of your hand, or you know it just before it comes out of your hand, right? You didn't think it, you just saw it coming out, right? But you're not actually doing it. And so, it's the same thing as any sort of channeling process, is the same levels. But so I channeled a poem called I Am the Luscious Goddess, right?
I love that poem.
It's a great poem. And I don't take credit for it because I didn't write it. I put it down under my name because, I'm the physical hand it came out of, but I didn't write that. So so sometimes you're in communication with something or someone specific. So, what they're telling me right now, Josh, is that you are in communication with a muse on a regular basis when you're writing. There's a muse that you connect into. And so it's you writing it, but it's her inspiring it, right? And for me, I was channeling an actual goddess when I wrote that, right? And the goddess Babylon specifically, right? I didn't specifically reach out to her, but I was doing a lot of work with the goddess Babylon at the time that poem was written. And so, that's who wrote that poem, is goddess Babylon. And, so that was I'm a fully conscious channel, which is a different state than any of the other three I referenced. And so that state is that I am fully integrated into my guides and into any entity I may be channeling, such that they come through and it's a merging, right? It's like I am doing the empath merge, but I'm doing it with the entity or my guides. And so it's a collaboration of our two energies coming together. And I just allow whatever it is to flow through me, as my higher self, as my guides, as the entity I may be channeling, whatever. And it's a different state of being than any of the other three, right? Because it's not a translator, which is the other form of fully conscious channel, where you hear it and then you translate it. It's literally a merging and a flow, and that's a different state. So
I've been able to do that a couple times. I feel it, but because I'm still working through my possession trauma, I'm like, I feel them come in. I'm like, okay, get the fuck out. Let's have a conversation from over there. I'm like, oh my God, something's happening. That's the great explanation on that.
yeah. Well, and it's funny because you guys experience this from me on a regular basis. A friend of mine who's known me for 35 plus years, she contacted me. She's like, "You're channeling on your podcast," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, all the time." But anytime I don't personally know the answer, the spirits speak through me, and I'm just like,
you have no idea how many pre-conversations we have before these podcasts. And Kelly's like, and then I just watch her eyes go. It's almost like I watch eyes. I'm a very much a body watcher. And I was like, yep, okay, Kelly's over there partially and over there partially. And I could just see when she's like, okay, I'm just going to let Spirit take the wheel, which she does a lot, which is great, right? Because they have a lot of good information.
Why not? Right?
And so does Kelle. It's fantastic.
Hey, and I don't even know the difference between one and the other anymore. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I think the last one on here this is funny for me because I had the privilege of doing an energy review on you. And this one is energy heat versus menopause.
Yes. Why don't you talk about your experience during an energy review on me, and then we'll talk about it.
So I was finishing up my energy scan, class with Kelle and getting certified, and she was I chose to go to her, and as soon as I tapped into her energy, things happened that have never happened in any other G review that I've taken part in. The first and foremost, that being my temperature went up. I don't know. I mean, I immediately started sweating. And I'm just like, Kelly, I don't know if this is normal because I was very new to this. I don't know if this is normal, but I'm very hot. I'm like, I feel like I'm on a southern, I think I'm on a southern porch and I need some sweet tea. It's very hot. It's very hot here. Yeah. So, like at the time you just said, "Oh, I run hot, baby." You didn't really go anything beyond that at the time. I know a little bit more about like the width of your channel and how much energy you allow to flow through you on a regular basis. But so I have firsthand knowledge of Kelly's energy heat, and they've only I've done quite a few of those energy scans and reviews at this point. Nobody runs as hot as Kelly, and I've only had 3 that make my temperature go up.
I'm hot, baby. I'm hot. Well, this is why I'm always sweating, man. I've tried everything. I've tried putting a block of ice in my center core to try and cool it down, and that helps some, but not a lot. I just run hot. So, but which is why having my air conditioner broken right now is not so good. Although thankfully it's blessedly cool in here today. So, that's good. It's humid as fuck, but it's really nice and cool. So, the menopause versus energetic heat. So it is very difficult to tell the difference between the two. Okay. I started getting, energy surges or hot flashes, depending upon how you look at it, in my 30s, in my early 30s. And that could have been perimenopause. It could have happened that early. Because, menopause for me was at 45. So early 30s, not that far out of range for perimenopause. But I will say I run a freak ton of energy and I'm very warm. And, as you've pointed out. So I think the point is it doesn't really matter, right? Take your hormone replacement. Please take your hormone replacement. It makes such a difference in your life. Please don't, buy into it has more problems than it's worth. And it's like, it doesn't. It actually causes, they're like, oh, hormone replacement makes you more susceptible to these types of cancers. It's like, yes, on a very small scale, but it also makes you much less susceptible to other types of cancers on a much larger scale. And it helps you feel better. It helps your bones stay less brittle. It helps you to age easier, and you're just overall your brain works better. Like I lost my memory for 3 years because of the hormone changes. My mother did the same thing. So did my cousin. And so hormones can really mess with your mental state and your ability to store memories and things like that. So I am learning so much about hormones in the last 10 years. It's terrifying. Did you know vitamin D is a hormone? I did not know that. I learned that very recently. Vitamin D is a hormone. And so when you are chronically low on vitamin D, which I have been for years, then and mostly because I hide from the sun because I have this lily white alabaster skin that does not tan, it lobsters. And so I hide from the sun and my vitamin D count shows it. So, you have to supplement with the vitamin D to keep your levels up. And there's all sorts of things that play into it. But learning how to deal with your nutritional health is equally as important as learning how to deal with your spiritual health because they are interrelated. Like I just saw a study like 2 days ago that said that Parkinson's, depression, Alzheimer's, and schizophrenia are all impacted by gut health. That they can point to markers that when they do fecal transplants, they see the evidence of the behaviors in mice from those types of patients. They will see those results as well as weight. So, if you're obese, you have a specific type of bacteria in your gut that causes you to be obese. And if you get a fecal transplant from somebody who is skinnier, you will become skinnier. And that is the nature of it. So very interesting stuff. I love watching the world of science in addition to the spiritual world. I actually study that more than I do other spiritual stuff at this point, just because I've done so much and I have that connection at this point. So, but yeah, I love the science. So anyway, what was the question?
Mess. Menopause versus energy.
Right.
We came full. Usually it's me that takes us far afield, but it's always relevant. We're always in the right moment at the right time, saying the right things.
Yeah. So the answer is yes. Probably both. The answer is yes. It's probably both. So, address. Oh, by the way, quick tip: save yourself. If you are going through menopause and you're getting night sweats, put 2 ounces of soy milk in your coffee in the morning, and you will not get night sweats anymore. Soy is a estrogen replacement. It takes up the same holes, it fills the same sockets as estrogen does, and it will help you with your night sweats if you're not on hormone replacement. So there you go. You're welcome.
Awesome.
I made this comment to somebody at a real estate investors club, and made it to them 1 month. And a couple months later, I came back to another meeting. They were like, oh my God, you saved me. It was so it worked. And I've told so many people that they love you so much. Thank you. Like, I'm happy to help. So yeah, if you're having night sweats, 2 ounces of soy milk. Solve your problem.
I got to tell you, if you guys need life advice, I've been working with Kelle for 4.5 years, and we just ran through 6 or 7 questions. Still have not been able to stump the shaman. She is well versed across the board. So, and we are all so grateful for that and you holding space for humanity.
Just don't ask me to do calculus. Just don't ask me.
She says that, but I imagine that she could do it because she already knows the answer is 42. We talk about this all the time.
The ultimate answer.
Every time she we do group, she's like, "Is there any last questions?" And me being embracing my coyote, I always ask the same question: "What's the meaning of life, Kelle?" And she's just always answers 42. And it wasn't until last year that I actually understood the reference when I saw the movie. So I was like, I don't understand what she's saying. Is this some shaman code? So here I am.
And yet you never asked. So that's for those of you who don't know, 42 is the ultimate answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything, which comes from Douglas Adams' named trilogy, but 5-book series on starting with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So that's where that phrase and that answer comes from.
So what I'm hearing is be more like Gina and ask questions.
Yes.
So we just want to say thank you so much, Gina. Thank you so much for your heartfelt email and also all of your questions today, which brought us this beautiful episode. And like Kelle was saying in the beginning, we love these questions. And if you have these burning questions, look, Kelle is here. We are here, and we enjoy the response that we get from all of our followers and listeners. So with that, Miss Kelle, what do you got? Anything else?
Remember that what you focus on expands. What you intend is what you create. So choose wisely. We'll see you next time.